Hello there, my very good friends. On today's wrestling news, Daniel Bryan's WWE contract has expired.
New NXT Women's Tag Team Champions were crowned on last night's episode of NXT.
We've got a backstage update on the Diamond Mine concept in NXT, including an update on Tessa Blanchard.
And a new faction formed on NXT last night too. I'm Adam Wilborn.
And I'm Andy Murray.
And this is the news.
Okay, so let's kick things off by talking about Daniel Bryan. Before we dive into all these NXT stories, a big report came out last night from Fightful Select stating that wrestlers, people within the company, sources within the company had told them that Daniel Bryan's contract with WWE either expired after last week's match with Roman Reigns or was set to expire after the match with Roman Reigns. So that match on Friday night on SmackDown was career versus title, effectively. If Daniel Bryan lost, he was going to be banished from SmackDown, and if he won, he was going to win the Universal Championship. Well, of course, he lost. Roman Reigns successfully retained in a very, very strong match indeed. Daniel Bryan was sent off into the wilderness. Now, when things like this happen in WWE, because this stipulation has been burned out so many times in wrestling, you just think, oh, well, Daniel Bryan will just go to Raw. He'll go to NXT. Maybe he'll show up in NXT Evolve when that's a thing. Maybe he'll do this and that. But no, his contract legitimately was at least due to expire last week. So there's all kinds of little bits and pieces to this. Fightful point out that there's no guarantee that this means that Bryan will definitely leave the company altogether. There's no guarantee that he won't work for them kind of without a contract or sign a new one, as he has indicated in their words that he wants to do unconventional work with WWE going forward. But either way, they have heard, they have been told, they have indicated that the contract is kind of done. So Daniel Bryan may or may not be a free agent, and that's pretty exciting. Now, this contract was originally reported to expire in September, but Bryan kind of said in an interview with TV Line last week, saying that people are gravitating towards that date because that coincided with his extension, but that's not necessarily the case. He says he's trying to figure out what his future looks like. There weren't any notable, backstage farewells last week. There weren't any big songs and dances in the locker room after he lost. If there were any farewells, apparently according to this report, they must have been kept private. So it's a very interesting situation. It's Daniel Bryan. He's one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. And the prospect of him potentially entering the free agency pool is very exciting indeed. However, I would encourage people not to temper anyone's excitement or whatever, but keep this at arm's length a little bit, because Daniel Bryan has indicated several times in the past that even though he's talked about wrestling people from other companies, he has also indicated that he might be interested in taking a step back, and there have been whispers that perhaps he might be looking at backstage role as well. So personally, I expect him to stick with WWE in a behind-the-scenes capacity, maybe wrestling every now and then, but who knows, it's very exciting, and I'm looking forward to seeing what's next.
Yes, caveat this with everything, with Daniel Bryan's a cheeky little scamp, and we've no bloody idea what he's going to do next. But he certainly seemed to wrestle that match like it could well be his last in WWE. I thought it was a sensational title versus career, I suppose, match on Friday against Roman Reigns. Really enjoyed it. Right conclusion for me as well. And like you say, so excited to see what he does next. The speculation rife everywhere. He could go to AEW, he could go to whoever, he could go anywhere, he could pop up at your local gym probably, because that's the sort of thing you could even see Daniel Bryan doing. But I'm inclined to agree with you, Andy, as much as I see people campaigning for him to leave WWE and go elsewhere. I do think that from what I've seen of him on screen, which is not really a reflection of how he may feel, who knows, he does seem to be very happy within WWE. He seems to have been doing a lot of stuff he clearly enjoys. And as much as he put it out there that he didn't feel right, it felt surreal being out there at WrestleMania and all that. Like you say, I could see him transitioning into a backstage role. I think he is a special attraction, and so could easily translate into a special attraction for WWE, only popping up on odd occasions. But like you said, Andy, we'll keep everyone posted. And I couldn't believe the news when I read it last night.
Yeah, mental stuff. Should note as well that Fightful Select have reached out for confirmation, so they're working towards that on Daniel Bryan's status. We will surely learn more on this situation over the coming days and weeks.
Yes, as this is Fightful Select, we should put the caveat on all this. No crap. just Zap. Thanks to Sean Moss for this story. Right, let's move on to NXT because there were new women's tag team champions crowned in the main event of the show last night. Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell defeating Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart to become the third NXT women's tag team champions. They've been holding those belts around rather quickly recently since they just decided to invent them instead of just sensibly having the women's tag team titles float between shows. But anyway, enough about all that. There was a crazy street fight. I really enjoyed it. Lots of mad bumps through tables and sick bumps off of ladders and onto ladders and what have you. But in the end, we saw LeRae hit the Wicked Stepsister on Shotzi after I believe she hit her with some brass knucks, but she hit the Wicked Stepsister onto a chair. She got the 1, 2, 3. Where was Ember Moon in all this? Indy Hartwell had put her through a table on the outside, so understandably she wasn't involved in any of this. Congratulations, quite right. Candice LeRae has a title in NXT. Very excited to see her hold that. Very excited to see the way to be even more unbearable next week. But I really enjoyed last night's episode of NXT, particularly this main event, Andy.
Yeah, it's wild, isn't it, to think that Candice LeRae has been in WWE for quite a while now, and this is her first championship. But she's now got her and Indy now have a nice set of belts to complement Johnny Gargano's North American Championship. What's Austin Theory going to do? Is he going to beat Karrion Kross next week and then earn a title shot and win that?
Yeah.
I mean, he's probably going to die, you're absolutely right, but here we go. New champions. The belts have been around for 2 months. We've already had 3 champions. Obviously, they changed hands on the first night, which was strange piece of booking indeed. But it's nice to see Candice rewarded for sure. And some of the strongest personalities on NXT at the moment are in the way. So, in the way, it's a weird sentence. You get the drift. Do you know what? Go ahead.
I would have loved to have been a fly backstage on the way celebrations. You've got Johnny Gargano with the belt, as you mentioned. You've got Candice and Indy with the belt. And you've got Austin Theory, who jumped Karrion Kross last night and complimented his other half on the size of her fingernails. And now he's going to face Karrion Kross. Good luck, mate.
Yeah, he is going to die. Diamond Mine, that starts with die. We got an update on that. Another report here from Fightful Select talking about the Diamond Mine concept. Now, when this came out last week, when the first vignette aired on NXT, a lot of people were going, diamonds? Tessa Blanchard uses diamonds. Maybe this is Tessa Blanchard. No, that's not the goal of this. So the Fightful Select here report states that these vignettes, there was one again last night with the MMA and the inspirational slogans, try your best, rise and grind, all of that stuff.
Clanging and banging.
Clanging and banging, there we go, 25-8. It's not being done to give you the belief that this is Tessa Blanchard. They're not trying to hype that up. They're not trying to make you think that the 25-year-old former Impact World Champion might be coming to WWE. That's a misconception. So there's no real word on what's going on with this at the moment. It might be a stable, it might be a show, it might be an angle. Fightful note that WWE are keeping their plans close to the vest. So it's going to be very, very difficult for any of this to leak until it actually happens on TV. But, you know, these vignettes are clearly leading towards something. Looking forward to finding out what it is. But it's not going to be Tessa Blanchard, who, as covered yesterday on our website, reported by Dave Meltzer, and covered again here in the Fightful report, Tessa Blanchard is not negotiating with AEW either. That story was false. She's going to have to look elsewhere for a big-time wrestling role.
Who on earth would report Tessa Blanchard going to AEW? Come on, guys. Right. To be fair, everyone was talking about it on Saturday. But I don't see either of those things happening for reasons we've gone over time and time and time again. Yeah. But one faction did form last night on NXT. It features Isaiah Swerve Scott, AJ Francis, Brianna Brandy, and Ashanti the Adonis. Formed in the midst of that Falls Count Anywhere match, that grudge match between Isaiah Swerve Scott and Leon Ruff. I'll tell you what, last night's NXT, there was bad blood, people really showing guts. I don't need to see any more wrestling for the rest of this week until about Friday, probably. I'm surprised genuinely that WWE didn't air vignette saying, tomorrow night, why not go outside and get some fresh air or talk to your relatives because there's no other wrestling going on. A brutal Falls Count Anywhere match. Some really horrific bumps going on. They really put their bodies on the line and showcase that bad blood, as I said, between Isaiah Swerve Scott and Leon Ruff. But this new faction debuted to help Swerve get the win. It looked like Leon Ruff was going to do something mad off the big platform that's got the hard cam on. When he did come off there, though, AJ Francis called caught him, hoyed him into the barricade, and that allowed Scott to get him in the ring and hit the JML driver for the 1, 2, 3. More factions for everyone, Andy Murray.
Yeah, I'm starting to think that NXT has too many factions. I'm only joking. I'm making fun of that stupid criticism of another show the other week. Yeah, I like Swerve Scott a lot. I've liked him going back to his indie days when he was Shane Strickland and he was coming down the ring to Shaka Khan, if you know, you know. And it's nice to see him get kind of a spotlighted role in NXT. AJ Francis is presenting that. What's the name of the show? Most Wanted Treasures? Most Valuable Treasures? Correct me if I'm wrong. That show's been getting a lot of hype on A&E. And it's nice to see this group coming together. Looking forward to seeing what happens. I think Scott is extremely charismatic and a great wrestler. So this can only be a good thing for everyone involved.
Yeah, great stuff on NXT last night, aside from the fact, damn you, Ted DiBiase! Screwing Cameron Grimes. Why book out a booth when you can buy the whole place? Everyone's got a price. More of that sort of thing. Put the $1 Million Championship on Cameron Grimes yesterday. Right, let's move on to your Twitter questions. At WhatCulture WWE. First question today comes from Darren Cox. Darren writes, with the pending return of Eva Marie to WWE and the way they portrayed her in the vignette, do you feel WWE is going backwards in the women's wrestling and reverting to promoting sex symbols again?
No, I don't think so. It's just because we've been here before, right? There were reports like the other year about Mandy Rose being presented in that role, and we had that weird backstage segment with Alexa Bliss when she lost her top and stuff, and there was all kinds of stuff coming out after that about how WWE was going back to presenting women as objects of sex or whatever. You will get the occasional thing like that every now and then, but I don't think they're going to do that. They're a PG company. It's 2021. Women's wrestling has moved way beyond any kind of low-level baseline garbage like back in the day. The scene's just come too far. I don't think the stakeholders and the stockholders would stand for that kind of stuff either. I don't think it's happening. I just think they shot the Eva Marie vignette in a different way.
Anything's possible with Vince McMahon at the helm, let's be honest, but we broke it yesterday. Eva Marie's coming back and she's going to be managing CM Punk, so there you go. Second question today comes from Sire505. He says, hello, gents. Thanos says hello as well. First of all, good boy. Do you think Alexa Bliss is referring more to Rhea Ripley, considering she's the one who eliminated her from the Royal Rumble? Also, did you see Lily in the background during Raw? I think I spotted her with some interaction between Sonya Deville and Postman Pearce, if I'm not mistaken, Andy. What do you reckon? Alexa Bliss and Lily.
Yeah. It's my favourite storyline. Yeah, I do think that is probably the likeliest route. The other thing that popped into my head was maybe Asuka, just because, we've covered that territory before, but Lily wasn't a thing back when Alexa and Asuka had their mini feud at the start of the year, so maybe they'll go back to that. But yeah, Ripley would make a lot of sense. The only way I want to see this happen is if Rhea Ripley treats Alexa just like she did in the Royal Rumble, where she just no-sold her stupid bollocks and threw her out of the ring. Get out of my ring, you weird carnival act, you 30-year-old woman playing a 5-year-old child. Get lost! 29. Alexa Bliss is 29, I apologise. She's got to squash her. She's got to just, please, I'm not going to get too far into it, but please just destroy this act, burn it to the ground, melt it down, turn it into a sword and stab the writer with it that came up with this, because I don't like it.
No, come on, Andy Murray, tell us what you really think about that storyline. I think if they are going to build her up, they're going to have a... The Sonya Deville stuff was weird because I'd figure that they'd have her murder someone like, I don't know, I don't want to pick on her, but like a Dana Brooke to build her up to eventually challenge Rhea Ripley for the title rather than going straight in there. But yeah, maybe less weird. Lily, look what you made me do. Bollocks on Monday Night Raw. Although it's all bollocks on Monday Night Raw, so who cares? Maybe Raw should move nights because NXT's got better since it moved nights. Final question today comes from Mark Smith, who says, is WWE going to keep using Postman Pearce and Sonya Deville as WWE officials? Should they put one on Raw and the other on SmackDown, or keep them both on both shows and build a feud between them? There is a power struggle going on, isn't there, Andy?
The absolute last thing I want to see ever again in any wrestling promotion until the end of time is another feud between warring authority figures. So I hope that isn't the route they're going down. However, you can definitely build tension between the two and pull some kind of shady move off. maybe Sonya Deville ousts Postman Pierce from Power. Maybe she does something like that. That'd be interesting. I think Sonya's a great performer and I'd like to see more of her. But I think they'll both continue like flopping between shows. I sincerely hope that we're not getting an authority figure feud because seen enough of them over the years. Some of them were good, most of them were ungood.
Just get Sonya Deville back in the ring. Me and Hanford did a podcast over the weekend predicting Sonya Deville politicking her way maybe into the Money in the Bank match and winning the briefcase, because I could very much see that, and I think she'd be the perfect person to hold that, cool. Especially if she has some sort of weird backstage power. And then, if she is an authority figure, you don't have to have her wrestle and lose like weirdly all the Money in the Bank holders seemingly have to do. But yeah, no more power struggles, please. Just it was subtle on SmackDown, and as soon as it's gone to Raw, just like Mansoor, it's been ruined. Let's move on to today's and finally, a tweet from one Enzo Amore giving Drew Gulak the praise he deserves. More Drew Gulak, please. Poor bastard got a rose kicked up his arse on Monday Night Raw, and he deserves so much better. People were asking Enzo about when he was associated with Drew Gulak, and Enzo tweeted, "One time I lost my voice, and Gabba Gulak had to do my intro. Kills everything he does. One of the best in the ring and out. How you doing?"
Next.
I love doing an Enzo Amore impression, and I love Drew Gulak, so synergy on today's news. Let us know your thoughts on that and all today's news stories. How you doing? In the comment section. But don't forget to like, share and subscribe. And subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling on either iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast from. For Daily Wrestling Podcast, myself and the Dally Boys sitting down to review NXT and look ahead to Blood and Guts tonight. Plus, let us know your thoughts and Twitter questions on Twitter at WhatCultureWWE. Actually, follow both of us. You can follow Andy Murray at
Andy H. Murray. The H today stands for Happy Birthday Yamaguchi-san. He of chopping Val Venus's penis off. And rest in peace to the great man as well.
Yes, legend. Happy birthday. Follow me on Twitter at Adam Wilborn. Follow us all at WhatCultureWWE. But for now, my thanks to Andy Murray. Thank you for watching, and we will see you soon. How you doing? How you doing?
He's doing it again. He's doing it again. Cut.